the words of AC/DC, we roll tonight to the guitar bite. And for those about to rock, I salute you.
Well, I mean, the first, when I was actually able to play that lick, I mean, that was like a major breakthrough. But then, you know, like my guitar teacher, Leroy Wright, I remember him showing me, you know, like how it all, and then, you know, all the scales that connected to it. You know what I mean? Then, you know, and that. You know, like wow, it all connects together, you know what I mean? So then that's when things started kind of making sense.
AC/DC was so much fun because their riffs are pretty. Raise your goblet of rock!
I mean, it's just...
AC/DC's got every single AC/DC riff. And we went back to this last night.
That's a good one.
The first rock music that I heard that inspired me to play guitar was when I heard AC/DC for the first time. I remember being on a drive with my dad, and he put on the AC/DC live album, and I heard the Highway to Hell riff, and that was just it for me. Something like this. Yeah, so I heard that, my mind was just blown, and right then I knew I wanted to play guitar. So I asked for a guitar for Christmas that year. Was lucky enough to get a cheap one, and ever since then, that's just been what I've done. Yeah, so AC/DC was the first band for me. I love learning Back in Black, Thunderstruck, you know, all that stuff.
For me, it was, as you say, Our Maiden 2, The Trooper, and a lot of AC/DC, like the riff from the Power Age album. Like that, yeah. But I didn't play it as good back then. But it was a good practice, and I like to play the riff a lot.
When I got into riffs, like for real, I mean, I said, you know, I learned all the Beatles stuff when I was little, but I got serious about guitar when I was probably 12 or 13, and that puts you right here. I mean, what more do you want than beating around the bush? It's f***ing ridiculous. And that thing, every Dag Nasty song, like that's where I stole it from. Hell's Bells. Thank you, Malcolm, probably.
I remember hearing Highway to Hell. I used to tune my this little crappy radio next to my bed when I was a kid. I was like, oh man, who is that singing? You know, Bon Scott was just so badass, and the rhythm guitar, just the electricity of that sound. Is that right?
What are my favorite riffs to sing? Hell's Bells. Bum 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 bum. The rhythm guitars, who only do power chords, it's just one note that I can hold like forever. So this is not so much fun in the studio, because it's a little bit boring. But live, this works out great because you can actually just sing the note, take a look at the audience, and yeah, just be on stage really feeling like a musician and not like a machine who has to throw out notes.
Another early riff was T.N.T. by AC/DC, and I think that might be the first riff where I was listening to the record, and then I figured out how to do it, because I never like learned how to read music or tab or anything. I just learned by listening and then trying to find it on the guitar. And so I think that might be the first song where I was like, oh, that's that note and that note and that note. So.
And I mean, that riff blew my mind. And we've talked about this, how you had a box of CDs that showed up at your house with other people's names on them.
Yeah.
I had a box of records that showed up at my house with other people's names on them. And one of them was AC/DC, Highway to Hell.
Yeah, okay.
And so it had that song on it, Beating Around the Bush. And so I learned how to play it, but it was probably like really slow at first, and like eventually fast. I can still only play it okay.
Early on, I really had a hard time, you know, kind of getting like hammer-ons and pull-offs super like tight sounding, kind of like making it sound like a pick note, rather than just kind of like a faint, you know, eruption or thunderstruck, you know, like just getting them sounding really tight.
Okay, so what made me want to start playing? Well, I would say it was the early days of MTV and seeing AC/DC on there, a Back in Black video, just... Anyway, I just loved Angus's energy and his stage presence, and obviously the songs were so awesome. And so I was really hooked on rock at that point. I mentioned AC/DC, and there were plenty of those that I started to piece together. Obviously, Highway to Hell. Great fun for me to put that one together. And later on, I'd say... For those about to rock. Anyway, lots of the AC/DC stuff in the early days for me. Love that band. They were my favorite.
Kiss was the band that made me want to be a performer, but it was definitely Angus Young that made me want to play guitar. You felt all of Angus's emotions, and you felt when he was pissed or if he was happy or drunk or horny. You heard it all from Angus and his fingertips, and you know, I loved that he was able to just emote, just take hold of a single note. You just felt Angus, and I dug that so much. And those, I think one of the earlier, you know, tunes that I learned how to play was. See me right out. My buddy Dave Colberhouse had the little ghetto blaster, because that's all we could afford back in the day, the little single tape desk, and took like 4 8 batteries, and we pumped that, just the beginning, just the intro. Oi, oi, oi. Just that beginning part.
My mom got me a guitar, got me lessons. I started studying with this guy, Jay Williston. And then eventually I kind of broke off and then just started studying on my own. You know, just learning my favorite rock riffs. AC/DC Back in Black was one of them. I think that's one of the best rock riffs of all time. Super iconic.